Welcome back to Nearbound Marketing. I'm your host, Logan Lyles. I'm joined today by Michael Cole. He's the SVP of Marketing over at Everflow, a platform I've been hearing a lot about from some of my friends like Will Taylor over at Reveal and Nearbound.com. Michael, welcome to the show, my friend.
Great to be here.
We're going to be talking about how you guys have really scaled your referral partner program. We were just talking offline, and something like 120% increase year over year in that channel. For context, let's kick it off with, before we get into how you guys have done that, what you've learned, what you've tweaked, give us a little bit of context into, your experience and kind of the history of referral partnerships at Everflow, where it has kind of fit into the marketing mix historically, and then we'll get into some of the results, and then most importantly, how you guys have achieved them.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting to walk through that. First off, like Everflow is a partner marketing platform, and we do
Mm-hmm.
all the tracking and attribution for this situation. So we are in the enviable spot of like having very good data on this. The second thing is a little bit different than most companies. Partnerships lives with under marketing. So marketing and partnerships are like fully aligned in our company. And I'm really excited to talk about this referral stuff just because I've always been like an entrepreneur going from like startup to startup. And when you're in that situation, you're always like, what are those like magical like strategies and tactics that you would want to replicate at all future ones? Because I mean, there was like a year or two where I worked in like 3 different companies in 2 years because all of them died within that time. So you get a lot of like rinse and repeat to find out what works. And you're always like, okay, next one, what would I do? And really mastering the referral program is one of them. So taking a step back, Everflow is a bootstrap company. We've never taken any investor dollars. We've only grown through customer revenues and profits. And the reason we've been able to do that is like having very cost-effective customer acquisition, with by far referrals and word of mouth driving the majority of customers and users to us. And then as we've gone along, we've added things like paid ad channels and all of the like content SEO. But at every stage of our company, it's always been about making customers really happy and then figuring out how to ask them about like, is there anyone else you would know that, or anyone else that you know that would benefit from this product or this solution that has pain points like you? Do you mind making an introduction? Like that simple process is so important for really just being super efficient in your growth.
So, I mean, it sounds to me, Michael, like your referral partner program, one, came out of necessity being a bootstrap company. Two, it's part of what you guys do is help people track their partner marketing efforts, and, affiliate referral kind of sits in the same bucket. It's interesting to hear how you guys are aligned between partnerships and marketing, with them reporting up into marketing within your organization. So it seems like kind of born out of necessity, but also because it's kind of in your DNA, and that kind of led you guys to going after these more cost effective customer acquisition channels early, as opposed to, we're going to start with paid ads and then we're going to go to SEO, then we're going to think about referrals and partnerships and things like that. You guys kind of flipped the script, maybe compared to some of your other startup experiences. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. The problem is if you take investors, you have to just grow as fast as possible. And usually it's like take investor dollars, spend those investor dollars as quick as possible to get as much growth so you can get to the next investor round. So we had the advantage of being able to be a lot more big picture and a lot more customer centric, and just having like a lot of this, like the origin of it is really not anything to do with marketing or partnerships. It has to do with like the product and customer success team, and the way that if you give a ton of feedback, or I mean, if you give a ton of support to your customers in the early days and you hear sort of like what they need for the product, you build a much better product by doing that sort of like feedback loop between customer success and product. And what that does is customers that get heard, like they get some personally passionate about the product. And so it's natural for them to uh, recommend other people and to do word of mouth. And like for the conferences where we're super strong, you hear our name everywhere because it's just like when you're happy and you're in a space where most of the companies are older and have totally dropped the ball on success, like this is one of the easiest and most powerful places where you can take your dedication and passion as like a smaller company and transmit that to your customers and really see the benefit through referrals.
I love that, man. So let's get into some of the how. You shared with me one of the things that led, as we talked about in the open, you guys growing this referral partnerships as a channel by 120% year over year was one seemingly small tweak, and that was the structure of how you actually pay out the people who are part of the referral partner program. What was that shift? Why did you guys make it? And what have you guys seen since?
Yeah, so it was really fascinating. I definitely didn't expect it to be this powerful. And I got my start in the industry as like a affiliate marketing agency, managing affiliate brands. So like that pay for performance world is what I'm used to. And I can tell you there's a lot of like uh, scrubbing of bad affiliates and watching that. So just keep that in mind because I'll get back to that in a second. But the big change that we made was that until this year, we were paying out 10% of the what we earned from any customer you referred over 12 months. And it was good enough. The good thing is it's very low cost, there's low risk, and it's low, you don't have to worry about it too much. At the beginning of this year, we switched to a more like pay for performance model where as soon as you make a lead introduction to us, like you introduce us to a relevant company, we pay you 250 immediately. Then we pay 500 when that lead becomes an opportunity and 1,000 when they become a customer. This is a very like performance oriented thing, but it solves a bunch of different challenges. And we should go back and talk about like what are these referral partners because I think that'll add some context. But real quick on the structure, the 250 on the lead is super important because it means that as soon as they take the effort to make that introduction, they immediately see it a benefit. And so much of referrals working is you're fighting inertia and friction because if someone's talking to someone, and for us, like these referral partners, a lot of them are our customers that are happy. We recruit them as referral partners. So they deeply understand our platform and they understand the pain points it solves. And they talk to a lot of their industry peers. So when they're talking to an industry peer, they'll be like, hey, I've been in the same situation. In that case, I chose Everflow to solve that problem. Here, let me make this introduction. That last step, and that it takes time. It's not their day job. It's effort. But if they can do that extra few minutes of like making that introduction and they get paid 250, like that immediately is like enough to get them over the hump to actually just take action in the moment. And then the other things of like the stages is like for the ones that start making these introductions regularly, if you're making like 1,750 for making an introduction and then having them become a customer, um, with these referrals, like because it's like customers introducing other customers, there's so much trust there that like our normal like conversion cycle might be 90 days, but a lot of times it's like 15 days in this situation. So not only are they making the lead, they're seeing the lead become a customer within like a week or two because you don't really have to ask them much questions if you already know what problem it solves and you know that it's trustworthy. So that's like the other like shocking corollary. And because it's so fast, it's real money at that point. So like the people that get excited about it will start looking through their Rolodex and be like, okay, who else can I do? Who else can I do? And you only need a few people that activate into like this super refer to really amplify your customer growth.
Man, I love that. I do want to come back to who are these referral partners? What are the different personas and how have you approached them differently? Maybe some things that have been surprising. Hey, we thought these would turn into those super refers
Yeah.
that you just mentioned, but they didn't, that sort of thing. But as you were talking there, so you guys made the shift instead of kind of your typical with a referral partner program or affiliate partner program, we're going to do percentages, which also means that they have to do math to think about how much am I going to get paid if I do get paid
And it's
when they
slow.
convert. And it's slow. Yeah, exactly. But the other thing I hear you saying is, they're converting at a higher rate, they're converting faster because of that trust. Was that intentional that you guys are paying for those leads based on an introduction? Or are you asking these referral partners to always do a hand-to-hand combat intro email to your sales team rather than sharing a link? So tell me a little bit about the nuances there and if that was intentional and why and those sorts of things.
Yes, for how to the handoff, the answer is just keep it as low friction as possible. It shouldn't matter to you as long as you're getting real introductions, because like we have like the link tracking method, we have a special form they can submit and they just share their information. We do it. a lot of times like they just say like, hey buddy, on a call, like go talk to Everflow. Let me introduce you to my buddy there, who will walk you through a demo. So there's lots of different ways. You just have to be, any friction will stop these introductions. We've all been asked for introductions and we put it off and then it becomes like a burden. So you want to make it super low friction. I think just to go back to like another side is just like when you're paying this 250, you might think like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with like a lot of like low quality leads or fraud. But shockingly, it's been very little on our side. But even when it does happen, it's like it's super simple to catch because like it's B2B. Like all of the customers are clear and real. All you do is like, hey, you sent me 4 leads from Bangladesh. It's not a market we serve and it's not the right fit. Like, we're not going to pay you on those. And if you keep sending us, you're not a referral partner anymore. So even in the fraud situations, like all of this stuff is for how effective it is at going from lead to customer. The little manual parts of it on top of it of doing the checks and everything is so low effort compared to like a traditional affiliate partner program where you're talking about like tens of thousands of conversions. B2B is like so much simpler and like you don't have to worry about it too much. And the benefit of it is just like really high quality leads sent the right way that you can convert, and then like that trust layer on top. Because like, I mean, as we've seen with all partnerships, that trust is such a big piece of it. And kind of the interesting thing is like on top of that, like faster conversion, etc. If you look at like later expansion retention metrics from any strategic partner, not just referrals, like they have way higher, they last way longer as customers and they tend to upgrade to more expensive modules. So for any of these partnership things, like your retention expansion is amazing anyway. So anything you can do to ramp that up is effective. And this is a very fast channel for getting those quick wins, getting your CMO, your CRO super happy with partnerships. So highly recommended.
I love that, man. Well, let's go to what we were talking about earlier. Who are these referral partners? Because as we talk about referral partner programs, affiliate partner programs, a lot of the waste and the frustration can be bringing the wrong people into the program. So, how do you guys think about this persona of your ideal referral partner? Or maybe there are a few different personas in there. And how have you guys gone about identifying and engaging those folks that might be different from your typical referral or affiliate program?
Yeah, so there's a couple stages and it goes from like the nearest to like the more like nearbound ecosystem. So for the nearest, the first people you should be recruiting, just and sometimes the referral relationship shouldn't be monetary depending on what world you live in. Like maybe it's just inviting them to like VIP parties or anything else. Like figure out like in the early days, just talk to them, see what they care about. Money is the easiest and straightforward, so I recommend it if it works for your industry. If not, figure out how to give them a platform and make them feel special for making these referrals. But the people you're actually recruiting should start with your customers because they already use your product. There are many ways to find out which customers are happy, like things like net promoter scores, like if you're surveying how much they like your product, or when you finish onboarding and they're like really excited to get started, or like they're your top like users inside of the platform 6 months down. Any of these signals of like people that really like your product or understand it, you should be asking them like, hey, you like our product. We would love to have you as a referral program. Would you be interested? And we'll go into a little scaling up on that afterwards. But so get your customers in and build lots of ways for them to be introduced to the referral program very authentically at the right moments when they go to the website and the platform, all these ways to just let them know like, hey, would you like to sign up to be a referral partner? Because once they do that, there is sort of like the identity that you get with anything you sign up for where you're like, oh, I'm a referral partner of Everflow. Let me think of like who I can introduce to them or like how I can do this. Or when they're talking like, oh, I'm a referral partner, I might as well make an introduction now. So just that tacit agreement on their side to it, that commitment goes a long way towards like getting them more active. So
Yeah.
customers is by far the first place. Another good one is agencies or anyone who does implementation. Obviously, that's a great fit for like the next stage up because if, especially your best referral partners on that side, is anyone who benefits from your from others using your platform. So in our case, we have like the whole like affiliate publisher side. those affiliate publishers are some of our best referral partners because they're basically, you want to work with me, you want my traffic, I need reliable tracking, I need good attribution, and I need to be like, make sure that everything's working properly. So you should really use Everflow if you want to work with me. That is an authentic thing for them to say. And now they have a second revenue stream of referring business to you on top of actually their standard affiliate business. So like they have a win-win in the situation, but also like it's accurate for them to say like, in this situation, I benefit from you using this tool. So use this tool first and let's get started. So anything like that, that can be an agency, that can be any sort of like tech partnership where your product benefits the same people that they want to sell to. That way, all of their salespeople have the reason to refer your product to. Those are definitely the best win-win situations for this. And this referral program, because it's so clear and aligned in earnings, really can help amplify these second tier and third tier relationships where it goes from just a nice thing that they mentioned to like something that is actively part of their pitch.
Hey there, Logan here. Hopefully you're getting some good ideas and practical tactics to execute your own nearbound marketing from this episode. You know what else helps? The right tools. That's why I'm a huge fan of Reveal. I use it to get insights into which partners already have relationships with my audience. This lets me decide which partners to work with to power my own nearbound marketing efforts. Want to reach accounts faster, more efficiently, and most importantly, with more value? From events to ABM, understanding which partners your buyers already trust is going to accelerate hitting the KPIs of your marketing programs. Learn more at reveal.co or check the link in the description of this episode. All right, back to today's conversation. I love the way that you phrase that, Michael. Anyone who benefits from others using your platform. Even if you type out that sentence and you start a Google Doc or a Google Sheet and start listing names, companies, types of companies, those sorts of things, I think you're going to be well on your way to seeing where is the low-hanging fruit to start building a motion like this, because as you mentioned, it can be implementation partners, technology integration partners, it can be agencies, it can be folks who have built a business that is tangential to what your software provides. And maybe they never have any desire to implement your software or resell it, that sort of thing. But they can honestly say, hey, it will make both our lives easier if you're working with me or you're going to work with me if you use this other tool. I'm trying to think of another analogy from maybe the B2C world. He'll probably come back to me in a second. I want to call out what you also said there. There are lots of places, if you take the time to build them in, to get those signals. If you go back to persona number one of your potential referral partners, which are your happy customers. If you're using Pendo, you can look at the usage data there. If you're tracking Net Promoter Score among your customers in any form or fashion, there's so many ways to do that. Or just anecdotally, if you are training your onboarding teams, your professional services teams, your account managers, and your CSMs to just, you hear this word, you say this thing, right? If they hear we're so happy, if they hear we loved this, what is the way that you can make it frictionless for them to bring up the referral partner program?
Yeah, one thing I want to mention that's been sort of the other interesting corollary of this, that's sort of like why it's been so successful, is once you get this working even on a small scale, it scales really well by having other team members on your team use this to their advantage. So as you mentioned, customer success, it's great for them to have other ways to sort of like improve your like revenue from, or like net revenue retention, stuff like that, by having extra metrics. Like if you build this relationship and they bring more customers, that goes to your KPIs. Like you can align customer success there. But the one that's actually been the most effective for us is once we got this running really well, it actually became an amazing sales tool. So when your sales team closes deals and that deal is really happy, they nurture that relationship onwards. And then they are the ones that says like, hey, do you know of anyone else who would benefit from this? And any lead that comes from that referral relationship will just auto be assigned to them. So there's not even any other sort of like compensation, but this is now a new little mini flywheel for them to drive their own extra customers. And the other one that's really fascinating about this is like, now when we go to like the conferences where we have like the most like awareness and the most customers, our salespeople will go up to like random people and be like, "Hey, have you heard about Everflow?" And they'll be like, "Actually, I'm already a customer. I'm not. I don't even know this." He's like, "You're a customer? Fantastic. Let me tell you about our referral program." So it actually gives them a tool that every single day people they talk to at these shows too, even if like a lot of times like we've had customers that they're like, "You know what? We like your product, but like we have a contract. We're not going to be able to do this." And we've been able to get them as referral partners, and they've made multiple introductions to other customers. So it gives sales another way to sort of like close deals and not just be reliant on that one person being ready with the budget and the demand
I
to
love the way
actually
you put
close.
that there. Give your sales team a mechanism to create their own mini flywheel and a way for them to generate their own pipeline that does kind of become this closed loop in the way that you guys said it. It's not like you're paying them, hey, for every referral partner you sign up, you get a kickback or a gift card or something like that. But we will route every single lead that comes back to comes in through a referral partner that you helped sign up to the program back to you. And that just, talk about aligning incentives and goals and just lining up with, what people are driven by. It's what they're held accountable to and what their number is. And if you're helping your sales team hit their number, then it's not something else that you're adding to their plate. It's something that you're adding value from your marketing team, from your partnership team back into the sales team. So I absolutely love that as a salesperson turned marketer. I love to hear those bridges being built between sales and marketing. Well, Michael, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
one
Oh,
other
go
pro
for it,
tip
man.
on
I'm
that
loving
one,
this.
uh, just because I know that there's a lot of like it's hard to be in partnerships because sometimes you're just batted around by sales and marketing where they're like, "Send me more leads, send me more leads. Why aren't we getting co-marketing?" So one of the good things is like if no one owns this program and you get it started on the partnership team, and now you have this as a thing, it brings back the power to the partnership side because now you're like, if sales is like, "Send me more leads," you're like, "Oh, didn't you nurture those 5 relationships and turn referral partners? Why hasn't there been any referrals from them? Is there anything you can do there?" So you got to jujitsu back to partnerships being the source of revenue and salespeople having to do work on their side to bring in new opportunities, etc. So I know that it's a constant struggle in partnerships, and it is nice that like it's no longer a one-way street of like who serves who.
And it's also, putting yourself in that position of actually being able to empower the sales team where they say, I need this, I need this. Well, I'm not going to give you a fish, but I'm going to hand you back the fishing pole that I already handed to you and you set down.
Yep.
Teach a man to fish, and that whole analogy. Well, Michael, the next thing I wanted to ask you on was, effective activation of these referral partners. So we talked about two very distinct personas that you guys are focused on, and I think other brands listening to this should be thinking about in activating as referral partners, happy customers, and as you said it, anyone who benefits from someone else using your platform. What are some of the do's and don'ts, maybe some of the things that have worked and haven't worked in actually activating these referral partners other than changing that commission and payout structure? That was one. And then I think you also mentioned making it easy for them to facilitate the intro, whether they want to send an email, submit a form, or do link tracking. Having those options will allow them to pick the path that is least friction for them. Anything on top of those that you would add that have been helpful for you guys in turning, I'll join the partner program to them making their first referral and then repeating from there?
Yeah, I think as we were talking about, like having relationships there. So if sales and CS has a happy customer, them also pushing for this, that goes a long way for activating. In terms of just like the general, how do you manage a good referral program? Like we have someone who's sending out like a monthly newsletter, just giving them updates on the referral program, how things are going, etc. Just a way to communicate with them. We do competitions from time to time where it'll be like, hey, whoever sends the most referrals during this month, we'll send you a free speaker. And then anyone who sends at least one, you'll be in a lottery for a free speaker. That way, like you never want it, so it's only the best because most people will know they're never going to be the best and they'll just give up. But
Yeah.
if you just have it as like, hey, as an added benefit, anyone who does it gets a chance, like that helps a lot. You just want things that just remind them of it because that's all you're doing there. It's just bringing top of mind. It's not referral programs aren't something you can kind of force. because this is no one's day job. It's no one is focusing on this at all time. Like again, it's more about making it really low friction and being top of mind that they think to make the introduction in the moment, and you want to do as much for that. So the only other part of that is like when you have a good referral partner, like that's when you want to build these one-on-one relationships. You want to get them at happy hours. You want to get them invited to stuff. If you do like VIP dinners, obviously like they're your biggest fangirl or fanboy. You want them at that VIP dinner singing your praises. So you can figure out ways to sort of celebrate your best performers afterwards, but really it's just staying top of mind in a very like
I
non-pushy
love
way.
that. And I love the idea of getting them involved in your events because as you mentioned earlier, some people aren't necessarily motivated by money, and that's something that, hey, I mean, it's still a monetary value. Hey, we're going to get you here. It's going to be a nice dinner. You're going to be able to network with some of your peers. It gives you the ability to put that plant in there in the event, right? Because I think as a B2B marketer, some of the best events, regardless of size, are where you can strategically put your ICP prospects in the same room with your raving fan customers and then just step back and let some magic happen. And so then for your referral partners, it's not only, hey, you're getting a free ticket to this nice dinner, the meal, we're covering this and that for you, but also they know that by going there, hey, this is going to be ripe opportunity for me to get, 250 per lead that I introduce. So they go into that with a little bit of motivation to do what ideally you would like for them to do organically there. So I think there's kind of a double benefit in bringing your referral partners organically into your event strategy. And I think, for you guys at Everflow, having the partner team in the marketing team makes that sort of alignment and that motion, that much easier. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think you mentioned a really good point, which is, I mean, even for us, probably at least 70% of the referral leads we receive, like it's out of love. They don't care about the referral program or they can't contractually receive money and they just make the introduction anyway. Like even if you do implement this, you probably will have most of your referral partners not actually getting compensated this way, which is sometimes very good for your bottom line too. But most people want to do it just because they do it. But for the people that are driven by this, man, it's like just adding rocket fuel
I
to
love
it.
that. Well, Michael, if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, maybe we're not bootstrapped, but we're we're a VC backed brand, and yeah,
Everything needs to be
everybody's
efficient right now,
looking
for
for
sure.
greater efficiency, and we went the other route. It was paid, it was outbound, then it was SEO. Now it's social. Now we're looking at partnerships. How do you think they might listen to everything you're saying, try to follow these steps, and run into some potholes that they didn't see in the road ahead? You guys have been at it for a while, so maybe what are some of the things that they should look out for where they might try and follow the advice of this conversation today, but still get it wrong, still kind of stall out and not see the results that you guys have been able to effectively drive?
That's interesting. I would, I mean, as long as you have like over 100 customers, um, and like you have a product that you're pretty proud of and you understand like why people like it, on the base level, this should work fine. Like the great thing about this is it's very easy to do a minimum viable product. Like you don't need a tech solution for this or anything else in the early days. You just need a website form that submits somewhere and there's a spreadsheet and it's like, hey, any introduction you make, just email it over to me and I'll add it to the spreadsheet. And you can log in a spreadsheet and see what is the pipeline stage of these introductions you made. So you have some sort of feedback loop into the activity you make. Like it's very low risk on that side. So I don't think that this is one where you have to like worry too much about this as long as you can get the internal buy-in of your company, which is always difficult. And I would recommend that if you're unsure, look through your like existing customers. How did they come about it? Because I have a feeling that almost every company, like a lot of these came through referrals or introductions anyway. Like just look at who your sales team says like drove it or like who started it. There is already people that are making referrals by the time you're at that point, or at least word of mouth where it's like, hey, I really like this, you should check it out. Like that exists. If you identify the already existing wins and you already have a
Yeah.
case for let's make this a process where people know that they should identify this in the right situation and
Yeah,
make that
I
interaction.
like that. I like what you said there on how you can start scrappy. So if you're finding yourself in whatever situation and saying, "Hey, I really want to action what Michael's saying. I, don't have budget for, a partner marketing platform or something like that." At the moment, hit that back button a few times, listen to what he said there, and you can piece together something very quickly. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Michael, is with your referral partner program, especially because your partnerships team rolls into marketing and there's full alignment there, what's kind of the crossover there between referral partners and content, either in getting them involved in content, kind of like we were talking about getting them involved in customer and marketing events, or feeding them with content that they can do more referral at scale? Maybe that's, more typical of affiliate marketing program and you guys are focused more on the one-to-one. How do you guys think about that, kind of the interplay between referral partners and content? I'm curious.
It's a really good question. Rather than answer, I'm going to go back to the last question because I had something I want
Oh,
to
I
say
love
there
it,
and I
man. Go
remembered
for
after the
it.
fact. Um, so we use HubSpot for all of our
Okay.
tracking, and one of the interesting things is like I will always look at like the base reporting of who HubSpot does attribution, first order attribution, other things. But what's really interesting is I was looking at what HubSpot is saying as like the source of lead, and there's a lot of like inbound, direct, etc. Um, and then one of the setups we have on our website is when you submit on our demo page form, we say, "How did you hear about us?" And you can do drop down for referral, word of mouth. And we have a second HubSpot report where we basically say like, what is the lead source according to what they say is how they signed up. And what we were looking is like referrals was maybe like some months only 10 or
Based on the
15% of all
standard
customers.
HubSpot
But when we looked
attribution
at it
report,
like for
right?
like,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
because they have referrals
Hmm.
in the standard in HubSpot. But in the self attributed, it was something like 50 to 60% were either referral or word of mouth. So this is another way to just sort of see like actually like a lot of your stuff. I mean, we talk about like organic and how people just like magically show up your website because they maybe ranked on the term for like how to do affiliate marketing for selling corgis. Sure, maybe that's a thing, but realistically, a lot of your organic traffic is really just word of mouth traffic. They've heard about you somewhere from some industry peers and stuff like that. And referrals is it all fits within that same thing. So you probably have a lot of your customers already word of mouth and referrals, and you just need to formalize this stuff. So that along aside, but I thought it was really interesting when we broke through the data and realized that like self-reported says it's so much
Yeah.
bigger than you would know it from the data because just there's
Yeah,
no way for
exactly.
HubSpot
I
to know
mean,
that.
it echoes. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. No, no, no. I was just gonna
Okay, we'll
actually
we'll
answer the
come
real
back to that
question,
in a
but
second.
yeah,
But just
go
one thing
ahead.
I wanted to add, because I'm glad that you took a quick time out and went back to the previous question, Michael, because it completely reiterates and is another data point validating what we talked about with Chris Walker last week on this show. And I love where we finished that conversation. I'm not going to be able to quote it exactly, but he said so often as marketing teams, we look ahead and we try to build our strategy based on faulty attribution data looking in the past, as opposed to building our strategy based on research and customer insights, and then modifying our attribution methodology, which he's probably the biggest proponent of self-reported attribution at Refine Labs. They do how did you hear about us with completely open text field. Maybe there's a whole episode to do on drop down versus completely open versus a hybrid of the two. But I just wanted to call that out, that I think great minds think alike. Two different guests here on Nearbound Marketing 2 weeks in a row talking about, not being led astray by really faulty attribution, and it's no one's fault. It's not HubSpot's fault. It's not the fault of the tool or the people, but we have to recognize that reality. So we were coming back to referral partners and affiliate partners and the interplay there between them and your general content marketing efforts. It's an interplay I've been really interested in trying to figure out, different plays that you can run there. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you guys have done that or thought about that, or how you're thinking about it going forward too.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we're not that great at the like because like in traditional affiliate programs, there is a lot of times where you feed them content and you do that. We don't really do any of that except for like there's like a set of players that every like B2B SaaS company should be doing. Like any website that's reviewing any of your competitors, you should also be there. But also from what we've seen with those review websites, this referral model that I'm talking about of like the 250, 500, I would don't do that. Don't do that at all. You want to use a different payment structure for them or just not track them at all. Like for review websites, we do not pay on the lead because what we found is that there's some review websites that are very good at driving leads in a legitimate way, which sounds great, but they just do not convert at all compared to like referral partners. And the reason is because a lot of these people, like they're tire kickers. They're just testing the market, trying to figure out what's there. They haven't made any decision about a program, and they're not ready for a program. So they're not ready to be customers. So if you were paying the full value in that situation where all they've done is like they started their research and like, I might as well see a demo. That's not the same buyer propensity as like a referral partner where there's already trust layered in. They tend to be in the right industry. They know what they're doing, and they probably use a competitor already or their own proprietary tool. Like those people are ready to go once they have the trust to test it out. Whereas like a review website is often just top of demand and they're not really serious about using your product yet. So you just want to make sure that you are treating them differently and you have a different referral structure or you pay them on
That's a
CPCs.
really good call out. And I think there's two things that stood out to me in what you said there, Michael. One is trust. We've been talking about that as one of the core themes of this show here on Nearbound Marketing for months and months now. And there's a difference in how much trust is baked into, I saw a review, now I'm going to this tool's website, versus I got a recommendation from someone I know who's a referral partner of, this platform. There's differences there, but you rightly call out they're also at a different stage in the buyer journey. Not all the time, but oftentimes they're more qualified, because if you're saying to someone, a friend, a colleague, an industry peer, hey, what do you use for this? It's because you're really searching for something and you're like in buy mode of, I need to figure something out, so I better go ask someone I trust, versus, hey, I happen to see a review or I'm kind of Googling around and looking at some things. They're probably not necessarily in buy mode. So think about treating those differently, not just because of the difference in the trust layer, but the difference in, as you mentioned, where is that buyer in their journey based on how they're coming in. So that's really good. Well, as we round it out today, Michael, I want to make sure if anybody is new to coming across you, Everflow, your guys' content, what would be the best way for them to reach out, stay connected with you, or find more content from you and the team at Everflow that might help them along a similar journey of scaling referrals or affiliates or anything Nearbound Marketing these days?
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm always happy to chat. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Michael Cole plus Everflow. I have a very generic name, so I always recommend mentioning the company when you're doing the search there. You can always just reach out to us at marketing@everflow.io, and I'll be one of the people that sees that. And yeah, again, we're always involved in these events and conferences, and we're always happy to chat. And like we're open book on this. Like this is like where being a bootstrap company is so advantageous, because I can just run my mouth and no one's going to like say like, actually we shouldn't share that. Like we don't have to worry about that
the
stuff.
secrets, Michael.
And so it's fun to see
I
things
love
work.
that. Well, you guys definitely have, with 120% increase year over year with your referral partner program, a small tweak that has had some big impact. So thanks for sharing that and breaking down some of the things that you guys have learned along the way today, Michael. I really appreciate it, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.